The issue was that Joel's classroom performance was not consistently at the same level. The school psychologist and child study team agreed to continue to work with the classroom teacher to develop and monitor new strategies to help Joel with his attention, organization, and motivational needs.
I can't say we live in an idyllic, perfect world. We don't. As a parent, I would be cautious, but I would also want to realize that often those tests will see something that nobody else saw. And for the first time, the test will uncover a strength that nobody knew was there. If the psychologist is good, if the teacher is good, that new strength can be a world of a difference to your child.
From the earliest age, Jalen's parents were worried about his overall development. Jalen's speech and language skills lagged behind his peers. His affect was flat, and he was not learning new skills. Through a Child Find program in another school district, Jalen had been previously identified as a child with mental retardation. Upon entering his new school, teachers saw a different child and began to question his classification. After a meeting with Jalen's parents, the child study team suggested a reevaluation.
The parents were very concerned about him because he wasn't talking like their other children. So it wasn't a surprise to them when they were given that assessment of Jalen. But now they are happy that we're looking at him because they're seeing such enormous growth in him that they are questioning also, is our child truly mentally retarded?
To the blue cross.
So this is a case where we are questioning a classification of a child as maybe unfair.
To the white.
The first thing I did was to go observe him, and I engaged him in conversation, and I know why the teachers are referring him to us. Yeah, he's just a lot more aware than one would expect. So we want to retest him and see what this child really needs. When I was working with him today, it was clear to me that there's no retardation here. By law, we are required to review a child's progress every 3 years, and parents have a right to request a review before, and teachers have a right to request that we look at a kid again because they suspect that there may be something wrong in the classification.
As a result of the special education reevaluation process, the child study team determined that Jalen was not a child with mental retardation. Jalen's placement remained in the same general education classroom, but instead of receiving pull-out special education services, the child study team developed strategies and supports with the classroom teacher and Jalen's parents to ensure his continued academic and social-emotional growth. This team was sensitive to the national issue of the over-identification of African-American male students identified as having mental retardation or emotional disturbance. The team's knowledge of the safeguards and due process provisions of the IDEA federal special education law regarding reevaluations helped to ensure that Jalen did not continue his school career with an inappropriate label.
I think that the over-identification does come from not understanding some of the background variables, not knowing where this child's issues are. We have our own culture under ourselves just by working in school districts or working in a hospital setting. Those are different cultures.
That's very good. You're using your
And sometimes it's very difficult to connect with the culture of the child and to try to see where behavior is coming from. So I think that the over-identification problem is really coming from a lack of connecting and a lack of identifying with these children and a lack of just stopping and researching and thinking.
To go outside, there wasn't much of Henry.
As an administrator, I feel like my job is to be the parent, to be the advocate for the students. Certainly the parents are there and part of the program, but sometimes the parents aren't aware, don't really understand a program, the local screening process, as well as a member of the committee does. And so sometimes I'll ask the question that a parent may not ask, so I'm looking out for everybody's child, whether, no matter what nationality that they come from.
So we need, number one, in terms of sensitivity, we need to really teach, to take those parents by the hand with someone who understands not just their language but their culture, and who also understands the American educational system, to be able to tell them things like, we are doing this process, we are undergoing these tests so that we can decide how we can serve your child.
We have a position that we call a parent liaison, a parent that we hire to work with us and who hopefully speaks one of the languages of the children in the schools. And it gives an opportunity for other parents to say, hey, there's one of our own involved in the school. And it gives that parent liaison a tremendous opportunity to reach out and bring more of the parents into the school process.
The personal culture idea is that people are an equation. So you have, you know, where you live is an equation. What your orientation is. Do you have an urban orientation, or you might have more of a suburban orientation? And then also your socioeconomic status obviously is an issue. Who's raising these children? What's the orientation of that school? Which language is used in the home socially? The more you understand, the more variables in the equation that you get in that person's personal culture, the easier it'll be for you to interpret what your findings are.
Human beings have so much more genius than the existing curriculum requires. I would do everything in my power to discourage teachers from asking the capacity question. The question that they should ask is, how can I get information about how this student goes about doing their work? What are their work habits like? What are their thinking habits like? If I could find that out, then I could find out whether there's something that's causing them problems that can be taught.
Mrs. Marshall, when we're saying that she's refusing to come to school, what does she say about school? Does she say why she's refusing?
Well, sometimes she will say she hates it.
Vanessa is a high school student enrolled in a special education program. Her recent medical history included psychiatric hospitalization for severe depression and a suicide attempt. The school's child study team met on an ongoing basis with Vanessa's parents to develop a program that would support her academic and emotional needs. The team's challenge of balancing her personal safety with that of Vanessa's self-image, socialization, and school avoidance issues needed to be addressed. Vanessa's feelings of fitting into her peer group while coping with biracial and cultural issues were also part of the picture the team had to consider. The child study team had to determine whether Vanessa's cultural background was a factor in her school adjustment and how that related to her emotional issues.
There are a number of different cultural issues, particularly in Vanessa's case, in terms of her own personal identity. The mother, of course, had indicated her pride in being of Greek culture and her heritage. And of course, I know, having met the father, that he too is very proud of his heritage as African American. And Vanessa, being a teenager, is going through many of the normal identity-seeking issues, but on top of that, she has the cultural issues and the racial issues that form her personal identity, her unique identity.
By me being both Greek and black, the kids, they don't really, like other kids in the school, I don't really know where I fit in. Like, I don't know, because if I try to hang out with the black kids, they don't like me because they say I act too white. And then they don't want to sit with the white kids because the white kids say that I'm too black, so I don't mix in with them well, so I just kind of by myself.
In Vanessa's case, there were a number of warning signs that she was really struggling, and I saw her over several different weeks at the school, so she got to know who I was. And what she shared was clearly significant in terms of the likelihood of ongoing depression and anxiety.
I really felt that when people were teasing me and everything,